Most High up, passports up, everything else down. It's the man, the myth, the legend. My name is Yesh, the Stretch Jonas. Salute to y'all, man. If you listen to those on playback, I had a wonderful birthday. Appreciate all the birthday shout outs. Appreciate all y'all. Shout out to MG Virgie who bought the book, the first one to buy it. The 26 Rules of the Passport Men, PBs. Salute to y'all, man. Joseph Majors, what's up? Yo, I just want to talk about this, right? Being lonely is not really being lonely. And the reason why I'm saying that is because you don't need wholesome, you don't need to be whole with these people that you're talking to. You don't need validation from them. You don't need anything from them. They already gave you their answer. They already told you how they are, who they are, what they're about. And you understand that. You understand. So we always hear the matrix, the matrix. We've been hearing this for a number of years now. That thing is starting to slow up now. And I'm glad it's slowing up. Because coming to the realization, right? I don't want to call it a woke or anything like that, because they bastardized that term. But when you have the moment of realization, you understand you're like the only adult in a room full of children, right? And you understand that the children will be playful. You understand that their motives. You understand that they're going to do silly stuff. You understand that they're going to bother each other. You understand that and while you're sitting there waiting for your child, right? All adults dropped off their children and you're just sitting there and you're just examining, right? Oh, Rice Patty, I gotta put Rice Patty back in the group. I made a mistake and took Rice Patty out. Rice Patty, my fault, brother. I meant to do that last week, but I got so bombarded chilling. So shout out to Rice Patty, my fault, brother. That wasn't meant for you. But when you understand that that you're the only adult in a room full of children, you start to begin. Listen, recently, I thought, like, you know how you thought you're around somebody, you could get to know them, you'd be cool with them. All of a sudden, you be like, this guy's on repeat. This is a grown child in his 40s and 50s. This is a grown child in their 30s. You'd be like, man, all they are is a child. And you start to look at life a little differently once you don't need to be validated or whole by somebody else, right? And when you have a life as an adult, there are different ways you look at, your perspective is way different from the perspective of a child. Hell, a child hasn't even christened or calcified their perspective on life because they don't know it. Children only follow what you give them. But you as an adult, you can analyze, you can scope, you can look at everything from a different lens, right? And you realize that you don't believe in a game anymore. For instance, dating in the United States of America, marriage in the United States of America, spending money in the United States of America, eating crazy stuff in the United States of America, and so forth and so on. You begin to look at the world differently, and you don't believe in a game anymore, because all it is a game. It's a game with your health to these people, right? It's a game with your freedom. J. Clyde, what up, brother? It's a game with your freedom. It's a game with your time, which, think about these are essential to men. Now, again, this is for everybody, but more particularly men. So you know it's a game. And you know the idea of rights, having rights is a game. Because as you see, they say, well, we can take these away from you at any moment. So you realize that all of these attributes to life that they presented in front of you are gained. But you know the people that still follow these things or under these certain rules are the children around your adult self. Just think about that. Because you see it differently and you understand it in a way. Not to say that you better than anyone. That's not what it is. Not to say that you, no. You just see it differently and you don't believe in a game anymore. You're like, yo, I'm past that. Like for instance, I always say I'm past that now. I got that from somebody off the internet. I forgot who I was watching something on TikTok. So I forgot the specifics of where I've accumulated that term from, right? Or certain terms from, because I got more than one. So the accumulation of certain terms, that's one of them. And the phrase goes, we passed it, like you don't have to say pause anymore. Yo, we passed that because we're adults. And the only reason why we had to say it because they want to have us play this game of sexual. Let me see how to phrase this. You don't want to play the game anymore because they want you to play with the scientific terms of male and female. They want you to play with specific terms with gender identity. They want you to play with specific terms like dress up, right? They want you to play with these terms, that whole concept of who could be anything at any moment that they choose. They don't want you to deal with the psychosis of it. They don't want you to deal with the psychopathy of it or anything like that. They say, no, we'll get you. You have to play this game of dress up. You have to play this game what we use with words. You have to be in this game. And an adult in the room is like, no, I don't want to be in this game. See, everybody else is playing with it because it becomes playful. And if you don't want to be the kid that's left alone, right? That's left alone. Not that the kid is lonely, the kid is left alone. And since you don't want to be a part of this, we got to make up terms like pause. Look at how deep that is. We got to bring up terms like pause. Because these are adults being playful. They're really children, right? But these are adults being playful in a system that they're made to play in. So they'll play on truth with lies. They'll play on truth with diversion. They'll play on truth with scrambling definitions, and so forth and so on. So they'll play with that. And so you see the story before it starts, and you're like, I don't want to play that. I'm an adult. They say, nope, we're going to destroy everything about you around us. So you're like, how is that possible? So picture if you got 1 million kids and you're the only adult in the room, and they say, let's take down the adult. You can only take out so many children or stop so many kids from harming you. And that's what it's like now. That's why dudes have had the notion to get their passport, go overseas, right? Some of them are children with a passport. And you know these type. And you separate yourselves from these people. Some of them are being playful with their sexual health. They're being playful with their income. When eventually, even though you have the mind or you have the attributes of a child, you're still going to get older. And that's why I pulled back. That's why I only do something when something is presented to me in the right manner as an adult. I don't just get off the wing, oh, I got to go. No. That's operating from impulse. And you'll learn a long lesson. And you'll be the child operating from an impulsive nature. And so they'll do this time and time and time and time and time again. I got this fan on, so it's blowing pretty heavily. He said, salute my brother, headed to work. Man, salute to you. Oh, man. Man, shout out to, you know who he is. Brown, what up? Salute to you, brother. He said he headed to work. Man, appreciate that. Pat, what up, yo? Hit the like button like Pat said. Hit the like button. Shout out to Will B. But y'all got to understand this. So you're looking at these people playing with around as adults. So you said, yo, let me get a passport and go. But you got to think, these people that were placating with this red pill notion, right? They didn't have an awakening. They're not woke. They didn't do like what that concept of the Matrix did. They didn't do that. Traveler, what up, yo? They didn't do that. They didn't do any of that. All they did was transfer that red pill ideology as children to getting a passport and going to, they didn't quell that childlike nature in them or that mindset. He said, Jay Clark gave Jay Clark, Jay Clark just gave a cash app to say the Broncos lost. Despicable. Despicable individual. Despicable. Jay Clark just gave a cash app to say the Broncos lost because I got the Broncos hat on. But just think about that. All they did was switch platforms. They never switched who they are. They never got out that childlike demeanor, that nature about them. Physically, they appear as an adult, but they haven't lost it. But you have, because your moves are a little differently. And then many people are dealing with psychological issues. They haven't dealt with that. All they did was either pick up a passport, all they did was pick up religion, all they did was pick up a curricular activity outside of work, instead of adding that to it, but working on themselves internally like I have, and so many others that I know. Very few of us, but as many of us. And that's what we're trying to get out of. That's what I'm dealing with. We don't need hosts. Like for instance, I never decided to get on YouTube and say, yo, I need them to validate the PBs. So I don't call it Passport Bros anymore. We just, whenever y'all see the letters P and B, that's it. We don't call it that anymore. They destroying that term. Every term that they get, you destroy it. So you move on to a new term. Oh, shout out to Traveler Quadruple 4. He said, good to hear you. Salute to you, brother. You see him in the building. That's his name, Traveler. He said, that had nice. Salute, brother. Yes, y'all know I'm a Denver Broncos fan. But that's what it's about. That's exactly what it's about. So in that whole, like, the idea of why we do certain things, this is just a few examples. And so when you notice, when you're the adult in the room and you don't want to play by these rules, you're ostracized. And the number one thing that happens, you make people uncomfortable. Preach, preacher, church. You make people uncomfortable. I make people, anytime I come around and make them uncomfortable. They can have 100,000 subscribers, 50,000, 200,000, 300,000, 400,000. I make them uncomfortable. Because I look at them, I say, you're a playful little kid. And you got a bunch of playful little kids who are listening to you. And they have a bunch of playful little kids. And then you got another segment who have a small number of little kids. He said, I'm tired of being an adult in the room. We'll definitely get into that. Oh, I'm gonna definitely cover that right now. So just think about that. So when you have people like Traveler, right, who says, I'm tired of being an adult in the room, there comes a time where there's a lonely period, right? A lone period, not lonely, not loneliness, in a lone period. Let's make that separation now, here and now. There's a difference between loneliness and alone. This means that you're aware, right? You're heavily aware of your position, right? You juxtapose to any position that's counter to what you stand for, right? So you know this to be true. But know this, you're not, again, you're not alone, but you're alone at that period. So let's take this in romantic relationships, because we can definitely have a connection or a comparative analysis from that point. When you're alone, right, and you begin to do what we do, the only thing you're doing is you're seeking, whether you could call it hope, but it's more so closer to a happening than hope, right? But when you're alone, only thing you're doing is you're trying to discover who's around you that's like you. That's easy to do. Even for the passport guys, that's easy to do. But they want to be the children in the room when they're using their passports and go around other little boys, or the concept or idea of the childlike, playful individual. They go around them. They hang around them. You fly 10,000 miles to go give to a playful-minded person. You go 9,000 miles, 7,000 miles, 1,000 miles, 900 miles, depending on where you sit at on this planet. And you go to seek playful individuals like you. And this is where you see the druggings happening. This is where you see the robberies. This is where you see the mismanagement of funds like I have that happened to me. Because you want to go overseas and be playful. You want to go overseas and not actually delve into what's reality and what's fiction, what you are given to do. And so that's when it becomes dangerous, because it's a repetitive nature that happens over and over and over so in the interim, you're alone. You might go to a country, you sit by yourself, you're cooling, you taking in the sights. You're not bothered by anybody. There's a difference about you. And the people that come from your same country, you make them uncomfortable. Why don't he want to talk to me? You seen that video with that guy in Thailand? I see Americans out here and they just walk past me. They act like they don't want to speak to me. Look at his mentality. Look at his perspective. Look at the limitness. Just think about this. Look at the limiting attributes psychologically that he has attained for himself. Trying to set himself apart, polarizing in a negative way. Because if your energy is the way you say it is, people are going to gravitate to you. It's going to happen. For all of you that don't believe in energy, listen, I wrote a book that many have been purchasing lately. I don't know what happened. It's called Compared to What? The Characteristics Between Plants, Animals, and Humans. And in that book, I delve into the characters that plants, you might be higher than a plant, higher than an animal, but you share these same characteristics, and some of these there's illumination on this characterization between you and an animal or plant because you allow it. Your sex character goes beyond that of an animal. Well, you're going to get drugged. It's okay to be the desired or opposite sex, cool. But when it's above that animalistic nature, you're going to get drugged. You're going to get robbed. You're going to have an encounter with, it's just paper everywhere. I got papers everywhere. I'm always studying. you have, so if y'all hear sliding, I got papers everywhere with stuff written all over them. That's why when people come in that spot, they're like, man, what's up with Yesh? Don't worry about what's up with me. Don't mess up my environment. Don't mess up my energy in this environment. This is a clean environment. I had to purify it with prayers to the Most High. That's all you need to know. And work on me within. Because I just came back from Costa Rica like a couple days ago. And usually I would go to a country and I would go mad. Y'all know what I'm talking about, where beautiful women are your vice. Can y'all believe that didn't happen to me? Can y'all believe that didn't happen to me? And that's why I could look into the camera and feel good about that. So when I tell stories, bro, I sat and had a great conversation with the woman in Spanish. We talked for hours, yo. I didn't want anything from her. She might have wanted something or desired something from me. I could tell. But I had a wonderful time. I said, yo, let's go to a quiet area. Let's just talk. Let's chop it up. We chopped it up. And this is what I get. That's what is my fulfillment. Now, your fulfillment you need to be in something, you need to be in something fine, slim, and in the sheets. That's you're doing. Bro, do you, but be an adult about it. That's you. Do you. I don't have a problem with none of you guys doing you. You don't need to be like Yes. It's not back in the 90s. I want to be like Mike because he could dribble a ball and shoot in it. I want to be like Mike. Despite if he's a terrible person in this game that we all see. I just want to be like Mike. He didn't have to have character. He didn't have to talk to you. He can ignore you and you're still going to love him. He can say, I'm going to build private prisons and invest in private prisons to put your butts in jail. Even if it's corrupt systems, we're going to still... So he didn't have to, so don't levy that upon me. Do it because you see something in me. Not because there's a commercial or there's popularity or anything like that. And so, again, you're alone. But at this point, for instance, I met great friends in its interim of traveling. Yo, I met some dope fellas not traveling. I met fellas talking about the scriptures. Met fellas and some of them off their rocker a little bit. I had to separate myself from them. Some of them try to disguise their psychotic behaviors, but you can tell. You judge them by the spirit that they bear. So understand that. So with that said, you're not alone. So you might go over there, you might be seeking one of the ladies in Thailand who just like you, who in Africa, Asia, Australia, Europe, Central, South America, island countries. You might find them. You might be able to chop it up with them, and there's no loneliness. There's nothing. That's what you sought. The energy came back to you. The energy came back to you. So you got to think, playing a game, there's still others that are doing it. Mike, what up, yo? There's still others that are doing it. So while you became the adult in the room, there's still others that's doing it. And you need to change what you're doing. Again, so with that being said, of course you limit your options because you're not being in a playful environment. Of course you limit your options. Oh my goodness. That's good to limit. I don't know why people think limiting your options, and I'm not talking about the dating sphere in the United States of America. I never want to be a part of it. I never want to be a part of the propaganda in the United States of America. Never going to happen. It's never going to happen. I don't see myself ever coming back to this. And it's been over 10 years now, 10 years strong. Even got offers of people wanting to do, like, this is crazy. Got offers of women wanting to do stuff now as we speak. Yo, you know what it's like? I had this premonition, right? I said to myself, years ago, before I knew about anything, about travel or anything, I said, you know what it's like to be around women and you don't care about nothing about them? You don't care about their body. You don't care about their face. You don't care about makeup. You don't care about hair. You don't care about none of that. You just cut them off. You just cut off that appeal wholly. You don't seek to be whole. It happens. Not wanting to be validated happens. You don't need to go out your way with it. So you know what it's like to go to, bro, in Miami, if anybody knows Miami, you know South Beach. If you know anywhere around that area, you know for a fact that the clothes are going to be less. The breasts gonna be popping, the makeup gonna be on fleek, it's gonna be caked on like a batter, like you about to put something in the oven. You know for a fact in Miami, that's what you're gonna see. You know you're gonna see breasts, butt cheeks hanging out. You know you're gonna see that, and it's gonna be it's gonna be to the 10 max. Who dog is barking? Godly. Damn, shut that. Who sits in the hallway knowing that you're covered by other apartments, you just sit there and let your stupid dog bark? That's why I got to get that machine. That when they start barking, it hurts their ears. I don't care. You say, yeah, yes. I don't care. They wouldn't be selling on the market if it was illegal. Shut up. Now, if it was illegal, then they would take it off the market. But last time I checked, you could go on Amazon and buy it. So every time the dog starts barking, you flick the thing on, the dog stops. Because I don't know who thought, you see what I'm saying, adults in the room? Somebody said, yo, let's go get dogs, put them in bags and purses. Let's go get strollers that you use for children for dogs. It was a sick individual that came up with this, and other sick individuals who look at themselves as above you because of their wealth, like the Paris Hiltons and all that, and said, let's make it cool to put this in a fancy purse. And society said, okay. See the little children playful. This is sick, man. Let's take a dog that should be out in the yard, and because we don't want a yard or we can't afford it, let's put this dog in an apartment all day by himself, not running around, not doing anything. And let's put him in an apartment and suffer until I get off from work because I need somebody or I need something. Sick, man. So when you look at them, you're making them uncomfortable. I always say this, my safety should make you uncomfortable. So like I always tell you, when I go overseas, yo, I don't care about you being comfortable. Am I going to be safe? That's the question for me. I don't care what you do. That has nothing to do with me. My safety should make you uncomfortable. And that's exactly how I operate. In the States, out of the States, wherever. You feel uncomfortable with me asking you certain questions, and then I can look into your eyes and see that you Time for me to get from around you. So again, you're not alone. You're not lonely. You're just alone until you meet friends, until you meet a special love interest. It's not. That's why you have channels. That's why you have these things that people share in the same ideology as you. The same ideology, the same makeup, the same calcification. The same exact calcification. Because you blocked everything out and now you have nothing here. And I had to realize that. So they'll use that for you. So again, this to address everything that's happening in the States for anybody that's feeling like they need to validate themselves, they need to be whole by others, you don't need any of that. And I talk about this all day. You know what it's like? I always say this to Mike and Jay Clyde and all of them, right? I always say this because bro, deep down inside, people look at me as a competition instead of a friend. Let me repeat. I know deep down inside, people use me as a competitor. Again, some competitive nature about them says, I gotta outdo Yesh. This is a tall guy. He's strong at his words. He's from up north. Whatever he says is a matter of fact type of thing. And I want to battle him. I gotta outdo him. I don't like this about him. I'm cool. Have you noticed I still operate the same? I don't give a damn. You think I give a damn what Jay Clyde think about me when it comes to me not being validated, not finding wholeness in their opinions of me? No. No. Because if I love me, I'm not going to do you any harm. Hold on, let me repeat. Because if I love me, I'm not going to do you any harm. I love me. And that's why I always make the comment. Shout out to Burt Ross. I said, and Jay Clyde also chimed in on this also. I said during my birthday, the night of my birthday, I said, man, I appreciate the birthday shout outs. And I said, yeah, because I already know these cats really don't rock with me and stuff like that. Burt said, yo, yes, man, we got love for you, brother. Jay Clyde said, yo, no, dude, everybody. But I know that's me. Knowing that I'm the adult but I'm with a bunch of fellas that are adults also. You see what I'm saying? So you made a connection with fellas that don't need validation. Let me give you an example. One of the fellas, I'm not gonna say who, one of the fellas said, yeah, I don't answer nobody's phone calls. Another person, I don't answer nobody's phone calls either. And I don't make no bones about it. You can, but I don't, and I respect it. Never came back and said, I respect it. Some of your favorite people have these quirks about them, but that's them. Yesh is a matter-of-fact type of guy. You say something, stand on that. Don't try to make alterations. Don't try to move the goalposts. Stand on exactly what you say and live by that. If you make a blunder, say, okay, I blundered. I'm going to move on. Now, if you make a blunder and put me in harm's way, then we have an issue. But be who you are, right? Because if you really loved who you are, you wouldn't put anybody in danger. You wouldn't put anybody in harm's way. Matter of fact, you'll warn them. And so you understand it's about people. But with me, my whole entire life, like when people get in the room, they start joking, everybody turned toward me. For some reason, everybody turned toward me. Let's all get on Yesh, right? And so I look at it and I just laugh. Because you know what the term for that is? Narrative identity reinforcement. Let me repeat. Go look it up. Narrative identity reinforcement. That's one of them. And this is when a group of people, and there's also another term for it, is a main term for that. Hold on, y'all. Damn, man. Shoot. And so it's a main term for that. It's slipping my mind right now. But just think about that. Narrative identity reinforcement deals with, and there's different parts to it, but this is one part. This is when everybody get together, right? And they pounce on that one person. I know that if that's been you, you're about to feel me on this, right? They pounce on that one person, and they always do it. They always do it because they see that person as a competition. They see that person as, and they'll do it, and they don't understand themselves doing it. But I can see it, and I've been seeing it for years with cats, right? And I never say anything because I know what it is. But something told me this year to start pointing that out, right? And so it's when a group of people get together and they pounce on one person, seeing that that one person can take it, they can handle it. Oh, he can handle all what we give him. And they'll keep doing that to one person, often. And you know what it does? It makes, it literally, damn. It really makes the group a cohesive group by pouncing on that one person. By using you as a punching bag, it brings the group stronger. So in a way, you like the Christ-like, and again, I'm using this in quotes. You like the Christ, you're the sacrifice to mend everything else. And cats do this all the time. They do this all the time and don't even know they're doing it. Let's pounce on this one person in the group and let's keep doing this every day, every day, every day, every day, every day, every day, every day. That person could take it every day, every day, every day. And they come together with jokes, oh man, you see this? And it keeps them stronger. And they've been doing it to me all my life. Let's all get together and let's triple team Yesh. And let's see if it reinforces. But you know what I know how to do? Oh, I know how to play the psychological game. Oh, I know how to play. And they don't even know I'm doing it to them either because they're not well versed in it. So when they do it to me, I implement something. I'm not going to give my secret away, but I implement something. I can't tell y'all on this live, but I implement something and they don't even know they're doing it. And then when I explain it to my closest friends, they be like, holy and I fell for it too. Yeah, you did. You did. Because I know what y'all trying to do to me. Well, if I'm the sacrifice that brings you guys together, so be it. So be it. This happened to me in school. I was always the tallest. I was always the most adamant. I was always the one that talked a lot of crap because everybody was just scared of letting their feelings out and being real. Because they were, I don't want to be the outlier. Well, I stuck a middle finger to that my entire life. And as adults, you got 40 and 50-year-old men still doing that. Let's pounce on Yesh to bring cohesion or cohesiveness to a few of us fellas or a group of us fellas. So I don't like those get along, go along. Every time somebody say that, they're all in agreement. Man, miss me with that. But they do it to me. I don't agree with Yesh, but they don't do it to each other. But I make them do it to each other because that's not genuine. Those are not genuine friendships. Those are not. And let's not be like that. It's crazy. They'll be like, man, me and Yesh are cool, man. But with everybody else, y'all half cool. So if I end up croaking one day, y'all ain't gonna talk no more. Man, get the hell out of here. That's not, so that narrative identity enforcement is just, reinforcement is just, so you can be that. And they got other things that they have out there. I don't want to discuss it on this live because I'm gonna do a whole breakdown of these different concepts. the boundaries, and we'll get into all of those. I'm gonna do a whole video breaking down these concepts. Those videos never go viral, but those videos never, because you breaking down something that somebody didn't understand, and they're like, I don't want. But I'm breaking it down so you don't have to read it, because I know a lot of you don't like reading. A lot of you don't like picking up a book. A lot of you, y'all don't like reading. So that's why I do these videos when I feel like it. Because, and people look at it as arrogance. They look at it as like, he's not humble. You don't know the definition of humility. You only know what you've been told. You're the playful little child amongst adults. You only know what you've been told, yo. You only know what you've been told. He said, Kyle, hello. Victor out of Santiago, Cali, tuning in. Okay, yes, on this stuff. Salute. I hope you're not a troll, brother. But, yeah, you get it. So when you look at these different things, and you look at these where people need validation from the internet, people need to make. There's one guy who I stopped talking to in particular, right? He got this, I don't know, man. He got this issue with wanting to be color, and I was just like, who walks around like that? Who literally walks around and the only thing they know, their only identity, the only thing they fester around is this color. And nothing since the people that started speaking like him has gotten better. Everything has only gotten worse. And it cracks me up how people saying, no, we're going to get off topic, but it cracks me up how people want dudes to operate differently. You go online, you see button breasts. You go to the gym, you see button breasts. You go to a funeral, you go to church, that's all you're seeing is titties and stash. That's all you're seeing is titties and stash everywhere you go. The little boys seeing it as kids. They grow up, they see it as teenagers. They grow, and then when they become adults, they see it more. They see it all over Instagram. They see it on TikTok. They see it on YouTube. They promote it constantly. And you say, so when these boys grow up, they 25 years old now. You saying, yo, you shouldn't be concerned with that. Yo, you should go do your thing. He had 25 years with his mother walking around with her button breast out. She walking around in the house with little booty shorts on. His own mama, his sisters, his aunts, hell, his grandmother, because grandmothers now are the new 41-year-old grandmother, 45-year-old grandmother. Grandmothers used to be in their 60s back in the day. I don't care if you're saying people are living, the lifespan has dwindled. No, bull. That's not going to turn a grandmother into a grandmother at 40. That's too much of a gap for the lifespan argument. Let's just call it what it is. They over-sexualize everything. And so when this boy comes 25 years old, you say, don't pay attention to them butt, don't pay attention to them breasts. Man, that's going to get you in trouble. When all of his life, that's all he was taught. And you see him overseas traveling, you see him now overseas, the PBs. And they can't break free from it. And they're trying. But the desire, the will is strong, but the flesh is weak. They're trying. They're trying. He said, what are your thoughts on Colombia versus Brazil, the passport? Wondering, any Colombian experience? No. Colombia versus Brazil. Yeah, we had those topics over 10 years ago. If these topics are new for you, and shout out to y'all. If they ain't new for you, I'm not saying that. But shout out to y'all who's still addressing those topics. I really don't care for that. I don't care what it about Colombia versus Brazil. I don't care about none of that. And I'm not going to say that and then go into a commentary about it. I don't care about it. Whatever you like is what you like. I'm over those conversations. That's for the new guys who just started traveling. Have at it. More power to y'all. And appreciate y'all for even. But those conversations always end up to one thing, sexual. That's it. It's always end up to women. That's it. Now, if you had nuance in a conversation and then you added the aspects of like what we used to do years ago when I did my live streams, the comparative analysis thing now is different, right? He said comparison is a thief of joy. At the end of the day, I'm in a world traveler with experiences, that's all. Exactly. Shout out to Pat. But I want to say this, and this is off what he's saying, right? I'm not going to make a commentary about what he's saying, but I'm going to make this. If you had nuance in that conversation where you make the conversation about the environment, how that shapes women, what I used to do back in the day where everybody followed my lead and started making videos every time I presented a topic,